Hey everybody, this is the Facebook Ads with the Twang podcast. I'm your host Ben Blackman, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the social proof myth of Facebook ads. Here comes episode 77. Facebook Ads with the Twang is dedicated to taking the often overcomplicated process of creating simple, successful Facebook ads, breaking them down step by step in less than 10 minutes at a time. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 77. I'm thrilled to be back with you, and I've got my green tea, matcha green tea from Starbucks with soy milk, and it's delicious, but I can't have them too often. But it is delicious, so I do have it today, so I may be just a little fired up. And, would you expect any less on Facebook Ads with the Twang? So today I'm going to be talking to you about social proof, because somebody tagged me in a post, a client of mine, in a post from a Facebook group of a relatively well-known person in the Facebook ads world. And it was an interview with somebody who was going over the difference between split testing and having social proof. And the summation of it was that social proof outperforms split testing. And, on the surface, I mean, that would seem to be true. Right? That would be relatively true. But if you really dive into it, and if your goal is to actually run a business and not just throw out a bunch of ads, and try to make a few sales here and there and get by, then you've got to split test. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. You've got to go in with multiple and keep doing it over and over and over. And I've kind of talked about this before. I've ran a business where, it was fine one day, and I literally came in the next day and it was over. Right, due to things beyond my control. And I was heavily reliant at that time on direct mail. I did use Google AdWords, because that's when I very first started using Google Ads. And that's when they very first started, actually. But I couldn't ramp that up because I didn't know enough at the time, and so I was heavily relying on direct mail. And so my point is that that's what happens with Facebook ads, is people tend to get heavily reliant on them. And I'm not saying you can't have a go-to ad that's your best ad or something that you should continue to run. I'm not saying that at all. So let me kind of just talk about it a little bit. So what do I mean by social proof? So for those who are watching, you can see I have an ad up here, and this is an ad that my client, who's amazing, just so you know, just an amazing person, that we had ran for, and this is not a new ad. We actually ran this a while back, and we ran it for like a year or something. I mean, it was a long time for an ad anyway. And as you can see, there's a lot of social proof that's on there, right? And so this ad was designed to take people to a webinar, and then once they're on the webinar, it was designed to get them to book a strategy session, and then you close the strategy session. So and I use this kind of as the as the standard, so to speak, as our default ad, because it works so well. And this ad always tended to get lower cost per registrations, right? So in other words, what happened is the cost to get people to register for the webinar would be lower. We'd get a lot more clicks, and those kinds of things. But when it came down to people actually buying, this did not outperform other split tested ads that didn't have hardly any social proof. Okay? So let me say that again. The ad that I'm talking about has a ton of social proof. It could get people registered on the webinar, but when it actually came down to a sale, it didn't really make any difference. All right? So yeah, you're getting more people on the webinar, but ultimately did it help? And the answer is no. So it really wasn't overall beneficial. Okay, from just a sheer number standpoint. That's the thing, right? That's what it comes down to. Now, we all, me included, I would I would love to say that I don't care about social proof and stuff like that, but I do. I'm human, so when I'm running ads, I like to see likes and shares and whatever, and nice comments. I don't really like to see the mean comments, but mean comments are good too sometimes. But So I get that, okay, and there's nothing wrong with continuing to run that, but to rely on that one ad, that's not going to work. That is not helpful at all. And there's some other things that we just kind of need to talk about that are some limitations. And I'll talk to you a little bit about how you get more social proof on your ads, and how they really help, because Facebook, the good news is more social proof, the more relevant Facebook sees your ad, so the more likely it is to get shown at a lower cost. That's the good news, okay? And I'll talk a little bit about what areas or what businesses would benefit more with social proof than others. So I just don't like the blanket statement that having social proof is going to be better than testing, right? That just doesn't work. So that is the downside. You have testing limitations, because you can't, once you modify this ad, right? So if you go in and you modify the ad in any way, I mean, you still have it'll actually create a new post. You can actually find the old post, which every ad is a post. You can actually find the old post in Ads Manager. It doesn't go away, but Facebook starts running, resets all the once you make a change, they reset all the social proof. So in other words, if you change the headline or you change the image or something like that, so you're basically starting over, right? So that's the thing. So it makes it hard. You can't really test it. So what people normally do is they have like, for example, the ad that I'm using here has a ton of social proof on it. Often people will go in and they'll throw in another ad, and they won't run not nearly as long, not nearly as big a budget. They'll run a very small budget to it for a very short period of time, and when it doesn't get a whole lot of social proof, they'll say, well, it's not doing as well. Or, the opt-ins are costing more, or whatever it is. And they do that without actually comparing it back to when they first started the original ad, and also comparing the fact that things have changed over time with the Facebook algorithm and so forth. So they'll often abandon that test and saying, oh yeah, the social proof ad worked much better. Well, maybe, okay, but you really have to look at those numbers, and most people aren't willing to do that. That I find, okay, but you guys, the people who are listening, y'all are willing to do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to me. Okay, so the other downside is that as I had said before, the front end often is better than the back end. And so in this case, what I was talking about, people getting to register for the webinar but not actually signing up for a strategy session. So the ultimate sales was worse. Not worse, about the same. And the other thing is, like I said before, ad reliance. So now you're relying upon one ad, and that's a scary place to be. And I've had people do that before, where they have an ad that's just killer and they just run with it and keep it going and going and going, and then Facebook either cuts it off or shuts down their account, or the ad just stops working for one reason or another, ad fatigue or whatever it is, and now they're having to design a new ad and it doesn't perform as well as the one that's running. Well, that's going to happen. Sooner or later, that's going to happen. That's why you need to be testing all the way through it. Okay? You should be running ads every single day, no matter what, and then test against those ads. Even if it's just $5 a day, just run ads every day. So something else to kind of think about is when you're running ads to an opt-in versus actual sales versus, say, video views, those are three different things to think about. A video view ad, yeah, social proof is probably really a good thing. And you can just you can still, split test it some, but I mean, that's a really good thing, and testing is not nearly as important on that. But when you're running it to an actual sales thing, then you've got to test. And opt-ins, it's kind of the same way. Are the opt-ins going to come to fruition? So you still need to test those things. So the whole thing about testing versus social proof, I would take testing over social proof any day. Okay, because ultimately social proof doesn't mean buyers. It's like people running ads just to get likes on their page. Likes are not leads. It's just that simple. Okay, so let me just tell you real quick how you can get more social proof on your ads. One, you can ask your friends, like when you run an ad, ask your friends, say, hey, do y'all mind, posting this ad? You can go and get the link. So like in the ad, if you're looking on the video, you can go into where it says ad preview here and do share a link. Okay, you can see it on the video on YouTube. And there's a place in there, you click share a link and you ask your friends, hey, will you do this? Okay, and you'll get social proof, and ask them to like it. Okay, you just ask them. The second thing is have an amazing offer. That's going to get you more social proof than anything else. And keep trying different ads. I mean, you've got to keep doing that. All right, that's it. That's episode 77. I'm thrilled that you guys were here today. And this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about over at Marketing with the Twang membership. You can check it out at marketingwiththetwang.com. I mean, it's more than just about Facebook ads. We're talking about marketing strategy with Facebook ads. If you're just relying on Facebook, you're going to be disappointed at some point. Okay. So anyway, come check us out, marketingwithtwang.com, and I'll see you guys on episode 78. Thanks.